All right, let's see if this does it. Does this do it? Does it do it? Does it do it? Does it do it? Can you hear me? I'm on a different setup than typical. But can you hear me? Is this working? Hello, hello. I'm getting pings from other notifications. Can you guys hear my voice? My voice, when it goes into the mic. Ooh, a good echo. That sounds fantastic. All right. Let's just mute that then and see if that fixes it. Does that fix it? Is the echo gone? Scott, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Still a bit echoey. I wonder if it is the intensity of my thing. I'll have to figure that out. Echo, echo. I wonder if it's because on my webcam I set up use custom audio device. Capture audio only. What if I don't do that? What if I do this and close that? And now I just have the audio from my Rode mic, but I don't have it on the webcam? Is the echo gone? Ho ho! Ho ho! I was double taking audio. Not my best moment. Alright. Okay. We're there. Thank you all for the technical help. I appreciate it. This is definitely my strong suit. If you know me, it is totally my strong suit. I don't furiously Google things 5 minutes before I start. Welcome, everybody. If you don't know me, my name is Devin Norris. I'm the marketing specialist for the English markets at Lucky Duck Games. Some of you are here from the Lucky Duck community. Some of you are here from my other communities, just because I sent out an all call and told people, just told people that I was going to do this. I wanted to kind of start and see what this was going to be in terms of the community that already existed with Lucky Duck Games, on YouTube at least, and then continue to build it. So I am uber clever, and I called this Ducks in the Wild. That's what I'm going to do every single time we do a live stream. I'm just going to call this Ducks in the Wild. So we are ducks spread out across the world, but we are all in a nice little family together. So thank you all for being here. This is designed to be a GenCon 2023 recap. And I am aware of the fact that it's been like a full week since I got back from GenCon, which really means it's been like 9 days since GenCon. And so a lot of you may have already seen some GenCon content on YouTube or on social media. I'm just doing it now because this is the first time I've woken up, to be honest. This is the first time I have risen from slumber in a week. I've been asleep most of the time since I got back. So that's why this is happening now. But I just wanted to share with all of you how GenCon was as an experience from the Lucky Duck perspective, and then also see if any of you went to GenCon as well. Chewy Huey, great meeting you on a few occasions at GenCon. Chewy, I have a question. Are you Eddie from Folded Space? I'm wondering if you're Eddie from Folded Space. That's in my head, what I think. But I could be wrong. But it was good to see you. Yes! Oh, that makes me happy that I tracked that down. Perfect. Well, Eddie, as always, it's good to see you. And I know we got to run into each other a few times at GenCon. And also, you make delightful organizers. Thank you for making our lives easier by organizing our game boxes. Yes, so for all of you who know me, but you may not know other people in chat, Crits Happen is a moderator. That is Scott Morris. So that is my jefe. He does not like the word boss, so I don't use the word boss, but I do call him jefe. And yes, Srebme, there is a ton of GenCon content out there. I mean, it was a massive show. It was a massive show for us. It was a massive show for a lot of other publishers and just for the attendees in general. It was pretty much kind of like the return to Gen Con from kind of the social, isolation that has been happening over the last few years. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. For us, it was a massive success for the launch of our game Cosmoctopus. It was a success in terms of just the booth experience. We had a fabulous demo team, and I'm going to chat about them in a little bit as well. And it was overall good. We had a lot of logistical hurdles. That we jumped, but we were mightily prepped by our awesome events manager, Chris, who was on vacation. So he kind of gave us the foundation to be successful without him, and we overcame some adversity and had a fantastic show. For any of you guys who were at Gen Con that are in chat, just curious what were highlights for you. For us, I'm going to kind of run down mine, but just interested to see what you guys think and how it might have been for you. And if you didn't go, is Gen Con the type of show that you would want to go to? Because it is a massive show. It is quite paralyzing for some people if you're not used to it. Oh, I also don't know so I have it on you have latency or normal latency, then you have low latency and ultra low latency. And just to avoid my computer freaking out too much, I put it on low latency. So I don't know what the delay is. I'm curious what the delay is. I don't think it's too bad. But it is possible that I ask questions and there's a delay. I've got some fresh brewed black tea here to keep me awake because, as I mentioned, I've been sleeping for the last week. Was Wolfpack Tim Chuan handing me the Flamecraft promo. That's awesome. So Tim Chuan, he is a fantastic content creator. He's an established photographer and videographer in the space. He lives out in LA, and we were fortunate enough to have Tim be on our booth staff. So he spent the first half of each day doing Flamecraft demos for people. He taught at our big preview table that we use, and he was showing Flamecraft to a bunch of hungry, rabid attendees that wanted to be in that world from Cardboard Alchemy, who's our partner. And so Tim did a fabulous job. We got numerous compliments about everyone on our demo team, and of which Tim was one of them. So Tim did a great job, and he also was absolutely exceptional in terms of bringing us photographs of our booth experience and then also our Cosmoctopus event. So we have awesome photos of those. I'll be sharing those on social media over the course of the next couple months. But really, really glad to have had Tim work with us, and I'm thankful that he was able to reach out and have some other people in the industry and fans to have some awesome interactions with. So that's good. No, we love Tim a lot, and we were very thankful that we were able to work with him. So glad that was a highlight for you. Gen Con is too big for me to ever want to attend. So I think that with any show, I think Gen Con is definitely one of the biggest. I think if I'm on the attendee side, one of the things that I would choose to do is go with someone, at least one other person, to just kind of anchor yourself and have someone to go with. So my brother and cousin attended PAX Unplugged a couple years ago for the first time, and I was working a booth. And so they had each other to go look at demos together, to go explore booths. And so that was a really effective, I think, way to go, was to not make it be an isolated event on your part. So that I can understand that Gen Con might be too big. I mean, it was insanely large this year. It was definitely a record setting in terms of size. Let's see. I've transitioned to liking game playing conventions over buying conventions. Dice Tower West is next for us. I do think that they provide very different experiences. I think that if you're trying to see what the industry feels like or the hobby at a large scale, then going to a buying convention like Gen Con, PAX Unplugged, Origins, Essen even, all of those ones give you a really unique way of experiencing our hobby space and seeing really kind of, where, the rubber meets the road in terms of publishers who are trying to launch and show off their product, and where kind of the ecosystem comes together at a bigger buying convention like that. You have you have the RPG community, you have the board game community, you have just kind of like the general artists that are associated with all of those different things that are showing their own products and crafts, and then you also have the accessories like dice and all of these wonderful things that kind of naturally or organically seem all combined in like outside of the space in your own home. All of those things naturally fit together, but you really see kind of like the symbiosis between all of those at a convention when you have all of these different arteries or pieces of the kind of like beating heart of the board game space all together in one spot. So that's really cool. But game playing conventions are fun as well, because I got to play maybe 2 or 3 games the entire GenCon. I was absolutely slammed in terms of time and commitment. So yeah, I don't get to play a lot of games at the game convention. That is another way. If you don't have someone to go with at a convention like this, having a booth as a home base to feel safe at, that's another smart way of doing it. So you get to work with the publisher, you get to build a relationship. That's how I built my relationship with Lucky Duck. I started working for them at conventions, and that gives me a place to feel like I'm connected to, tethered to, and then you can wander away from that. I think that working at a booth is the secondary option between going with someone else to a convention. News on the production of the Unsettled game. In VF. I know Unsettled from Orange Nebula. But VF, the only thing I can think of that is VF would be Veiled Fate, which is from Ivy Studios. I can't think of another VF acronym, but that's just me messing up. Oh. That's very possibly. So thank you, Crits. Appreciate that, Scott. I'll let you tackle that in the chat. And then Strumy's asking, did Lucky Duck host meetings with content creators during Gen Con? If yes, were you part of them, and was it weird being on the publisher side? So yes and no. The main thing that we did at Gen Con was to host the Cosmoctopus launch party. And that was kind of my main meeting all at once. I used it as an opportunity to visually touch base and connect and introduce myself to a lot of different content creators who I either already knew or I didn't know and I was meeting for the first time. So that was an event that we had on Wednesday night before Cosmoctopus, or before Gen Con launched. So we had copies of Cosmoctopus here, and we were giving this out to content creators. We also had some plushies that we were doing for trivia answers. When people were getting trivia right, they were getting the Cosmoctopus plushie. Both of those are available on our website, so if you want to pre-order Cosmoctopus or the plushie, you can still get those. We sold out like hotcakes at Gen Con of the physical stock that we had, but it is available and readily accessible for people on our website. It was a launch party. It was really, really successful. This was something that I didn't plan. I came into this when I started the job. This was already in the works, so I kind of just got to reap the rewards of other people's planning, which was nice. And then we had grape inky soda from Jones Soda, so we had some custom soda there. And I'm not a soda person, but I actually thought it was pretty yummy. So we had snacks, food, drinks, and we just let people chat and mingle, and we had our games out on display for people to check out, and so that was nice as well. It was a really good time, but I kind of used that as a macro meeting to where I was able to kind of man the booth with Scott and Sean as much as possible during the day. So it was a very successful party. I think a lot of people had a good amount of fun, and it was a memorable highlight for me, and I was pleased with how that went. I did do some meetings during the day, and Stremming, to your point about is it weird being on the publisher side of things, yes and no. For me, the thing that I've always loved in this industry over the last 3 or 4 years is just building relationships, and I still get to do that on the publisher side. Yes, like the nature of my connection with the content creator is not so much, hey, we both make content, and now it's like, hey, I'm someone that you might make content for, but I still love what you do. It's just that it's not from like a I still think that we're peers, but not in the sense that I'm doing the same thing that they're doing. We operate different, functions in the space, but I still enjoy it. I still love it. I still get to meet and chat with people, which is kind of what I enjoy the most. Oh, I'm glad you got a plushie for your kids. For my kids in quotes. Yeah, Eddie. I understand that. I mean, I actually it's over there. I don't know if it's really even visible. Maybe it's a little bit visible on the other side of the camera tripod, but the only plushie I've ever got that I was like, I kind of want this for myself was Pigadillo, or which is like a pig or boar armadillo character from Too Many Bones. And my daughter has stolen that for the last like year, and so I finally reclaimed it, and it's here in my office. But I understand the idea of getting stuff for just kids. Any updates about the Dark Quarter? I don't personally have that, so that is actually housed under the crowdfunding side of our team. So that would be like As Drummond and the overall team that works in both the studio to build that and then works to push crowdfunding campaigns. So yes, my goodness, sniffing. That's why I need the tea to stop sniffing. But yes, so I don't have personal updates on the Dark Quarter. That is something that someone else on our team might be able to help out. But I assume that we're on the Kickstarter, because I'm a Kickstarter backer for that myself. So I would assume that just the Kickstarter or GameFound updates for that is the most up-to-date information. I don't have any inside baseball, if that's what you're asking. What was the most asked about game at the booth? Oh, it was definitely Cosmoctopus, then quickly followed by Flamecraft. Those two were absolutely, like the talk of the town in terms of where people were coming from. Cosmoctopus, we had a good amount of prep for it. So we had the event that all of the content creators got to go to, and then that was the day before GenCon started. Then we also had like full playthrough demos in the play hall. So there were people that were able to sign up for events and people that were able to freely just walk into events, and they were able to play Cosmoctopus in full there through the playtest hall and like the main play hall area that's adjacent to the main exhibit hall. I'm doing hand things for myself because I understand where I'm talking about. For the rest of you, it's probably meaningless, but just envision this being accurate navigational directions. So Cosmoctopus was just got a lot of feedback and a lot of people that were very, very enthusiastic about trying it out. And then we also had Henry Audubon, the designer. He was at the booth with us. Chris Kingsnorth from Paperfork Games was there as well. And so we had a lot of presence there, and Henry was signing copies. He had a pink and a white, like, those like paint pens that have really intense paint on them. So he was signing the box covers of games, which was really cool. And then Flamecraft, we had the promo. We had the Lucky Lake promo. We're going to still have that at Essen and PAX Unplugged, so we'll be able to share that out with people. But the Lucky Lake promo is a promo town. It's a shop for the game Flamecraft that actually has its own ability, and so it does affect or contribute to gameplay, and so people were pretty excited about that. We had people that were coming to the booth solely for the promo card, and so you can kind of tell it in their eyes because they're like roving, they're hunting, they're trying to find wherever the kick promo card is. So we had a lot of people for the promos, a lot of people for Flamecraft. So Flamecraft has already been out. But this was the first Gen Con that it was available to purchase. Last Gen Con, we didn't have it like in stock there. So Essen was a big show last year for Flamecraft, and then this Gen Con was the first Gen Con that we had it. So definitely excited. And then once Cosmoctopus and Flamecraft sold out, then the next game was Critter Kitchen, which was the prototype that Peter, our partner at Cardboard Alchemy, had. So he was demoing it to content creators. Ooh, what can you discuss about the upcoming Critter Kitchen? Yep, so it's going to be the next game with Cardboard Alchemy. Scott's handling things in chat, so he's helping out there. Yes, we are planning the Kickstarter there. Well, Cardboard Alchemy is planning the Kickstarter in October. So Essen is going to be an additional place that we're trying to showcase that game. And I agree with you. Cardboard Alchemy does great work. We love Peter. He's awesome. And him and Brad do some crazy stuff together. So, can we get you to interview the Cardboard Alchemy people on this channel? I would love to do that. I have a good relationship with Peter. I would happily do that. They just have a new hire, Rosie Powell, who is a content creator from the UK. So, yet another content creator that has, made the transition to having a full-time job to support and help out a publisher. So really excited for her in that new role. But yes, Peter, Brad, and Rosie, they're a fantastic team. And I know Peter kind of going back to Dwellings of Eldervale, which was my first experience with his work. So I would happily do that. My goal for this channel is to build it to consist of industry talk, like interviews with designers, and just to grow and make this a place for the ducks in the wild to gather and to flock. And so I like all of the people, and that's kind of like, my mission, like I said, for this YouTube channel to grow it is mainly reminiscent or reflective of a lot of the time and the experience that we had at GenCon this year at our booth. Just the amount of people that we had, the good energy, the fantastic relationships, and the positive community or culture that's building around our catalog. I'm really excited about the types of people that want to play our games and want to be a part of Lucky Duck, both on the consumer side, also on the partner side. Paper Fort Games and Cardboard Alchemy, they're fantastic partners to have. And so I feel very grateful for where we're at, and I want to make sure that I help build out this community to reflect that. So yes, in short, I can try to get Cardboard Alchemy on the channel to interview them, because I love interviews. They're one of my favorite forms of content, and I would happily have that be a contributing part to the YouTube channel. Designer diaries and interviews are something that I want in here regardless. So happy to do that. This has been a rather long-winded hello on my part, but that seems pretty par for the course when it comes to me and not shutting up. But our main thing at GenCon was Cosmoctopus. So this is from Paper Fort Games. The designer is Henry Audubon. You may be familiar with the name if you've played Parks or know of the game Parks. He is the same designer. This is a engine building game, which is going to be familiar in terms of theme to people who are familiar with the Cthulhu world, universe or whatever. So that is his latest title. We are very happy with it. It's both adorable, it's accessible, and it really kind of goes along in line with where we want to center a lot of our brand's catalog, and in terms of the types of games that we push. It's really, really a lot of fun. I've got this week and next week, I'm kind of pushing a little bit of a social media, not campaign, but awareness of the ways that you can play this game after you have tried it out a couple times. So if you can see on the back here, I'm not entirely sure how well it will show, but on the back, the very center of the board has got 9 different tiles to it. And in the very center of one is where you'll see the great inky one. So Cthulhu, or not Cthulhu, Cosmoctopus. Whoops. So that's the base way of playing it, though. That 3x3 of tiles. Once you have played the game enough, you can actually create both alternate realm layouts that are showcased in the back of the book, and you can also design your own. And I think that's one of the coolest ways of mixing up the gameplay, varying how you approach the resource collection and the movement around the board. Because when you have a 3x3 layout, everything is within pretty close reach to each other. But just simply shifting the layout adjusts what locations you might prioritize over others, and also might increase the time it takes you to set up a particular plan of moving around. And so really, really cool, Really, really cool game. A lot of depth to it once you get used to it based off of just the visual setup. And I mean, even the layout, once you adjust it, there's this thing called the Cosmic Bridge, which is essentially like a warp tunnel in space, which creates adjacency. So there's a lot of fun ways to mix and match the gameplay once you're used to it. But Cosmoctopus was our big launch for Gen Con. We had a launch party for it where we invited a bunch of content creators. We hosted a rental space that was nearby the convention center, and it was a really good time. We had, I think, about 150 people there. But that was just the start of Cosmoctopus at Gen Con. We ended up selling around 500 copies of Cosmoctopus, and we could have sold out on Friday, the second day, halfway through the day. So like a day and a half of sales, but we actually reserved some to where we could, maintain the signing windows that Henry was committed to be able to give people signed copies of the game. So very, very fun, very, very fun experience for Cosmoctopus. It was a very successful launch, and we're thrilled that we got to do it with Paper Fort. So to Chris and Henry, we were just very grateful that they were there with us and participating, because it was a fun time. Yes, there are tentacle minis in here. I mean, I'll see if I can get some out. There are tentacle minis. I will try to get it out. Ugh. I'm not doing a good job of doing this smoothly. But yes, so get the tentacle minis out. Little pink tentacles. And the goal is to gather 8 of them. The first person to gather 8 of these tentacles wins. You do that by collecting resources and using those resources to complete constellations. There's a couple other ways besides constellations that you can get tentacles, but that's the main way to do it. And whoever gets to 8 first wins. And then you will have summoned Cosmoctopus. And you take the Great Inky One off of the center board and you move it to that your player area, and it will have all 8 tentacles around it, which is pretty cool. Oh, you don't have to get 10 tickles, Zach. You don't have to, because you only need 8. So your pun is unnecessary. Uprising is a fantastic game. You can mix and match tentacles. That's not a bad idea. I mean, I think my base game of Uprising has tentacles. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe you can mix those. Oh, gosh. I mean, Petrified, you just set Scott up for that, and that's upsetting. The fact that you gave him the window to make a pun like that is painful. Hey, Richard, how's it going? Hoping you're having a good day. Glad that you're here. Yeah, so that was Cosmoctopus for us. We had Cosmoctopus, and it was a very successful launch at Gen Con. We're thrilled with the reception that the community gave to it, and it just made us more confident in our choice to push that title, because it was one that we had faith in, and it was wonderful to see the overall. Oh gosh, oh my goodness, Scott, you are in danger of having your moderator power removed. I will strip it from you. I will take it away. Other than Cosmoctopus, our next game that was the big one was Flamecraft. As I mentioned, it was the first time at Gen Con that it was available, and it's very, very, it's just an attractive game. It's an appealing game. The art from Sandara Tang is wonderful. She's also doing art for the upcoming game Critter Kitchen, which I mentioned. So we had Flamecraft there. We were demoing that, and it was wonderful. And then afterwards, when we sold out of Flamecraft, the focus shifted to doing kind of the full demos of Critter Kitchen. Peter Vaughn, he had scheduled content creators to come and check out the game, and so they were able to play it, and people at our booth were able to stand around and observe that new upcoming game getting demoed and getting played. So it was beautiful to see kind of the existing prototype, and then the knowledge of what's going to be layered on top of that and improved by the time the Kickstarter comes around. Really excited to see what Peter and Brad and the team are going to do with that. Let's see. Flamecraft Lucky Lake promo, as I mentioned, was a hot ticket item in terms of people coming around. We actually had to get to the point where we were preemptively asking people if they were there for the promo to where they didn't feel like they needed to wait in line for a long time. But yes, Critter Kitchen is one. It should be coming up Kickstarter in October. So we're going to show it off again at Essen. I believe we're going to have a Cardboard Alchemy envoy or ambassador there to showcase the game. And so we're looking forward to presenting more opportunities for people to see that. But it is gorgeous in terms of art. Sandara is a very, very talented artist, and it is delightful to see her come up with this world. Looking forward to throwing money at Critter Kitchen. I mean, I do think that Cardboard Alchemy makes some pretty convincing, attractive words. Imagine that I said words, and then we could go along with that. Just imagine that. Will you have a prototype to demo at PAX Unplugged? That is a question that I do not currently have the answer to. That will be something that I'll need to discuss with Cardboard Alchemy and see what their plans are. Just want to make sure that I'm mindful of their calendar, because they may have a different calendar of what they need to focus on at any time. Since it will have been just at the end of the Kickstarter, like if the Kickstarter launches in October, it probably will end sometime either at the end of October or into November. So it will just depend if that's what Peter wants to try to focus on. So I don't have a confirmed answer on that, but I can get back to you. Stylish and attractive gateway games. I mean, I would say that is what we want to, hang our hat on. That's what Lucky Duck is interested in presenting to, you can call them Family Plus, you can call them Gateway, whatever you want, but games that have enough appeal, attraction, and accessibility to bring new people into the hobby space, because that's something that we care about, is building the community, building the space, making it bigger than what it is right now by introducing more people. But then also, the best types of those games have enough depth and variability to satisfy people that have been in the hobby or that are more, gamers who prefer some depth. So that's absolutely a good descriptor of what we want our games to be labeled as, is stylish and attractive gateway games. Because we also have to think about the retail market. I think that there are some publishers that are able to focus more specifically on the crowdfunding market, which has the potential to be outpricing the retail and what you could actually conceivably put in retail. So I would just add that it's got to be something that's accessible to the overall market rather than just crowdfunding space. But yeah, Richard, that's kind of what we're aiming towards. Rolling with Rock. Good afternoon. Devin, was nice meeting you in Indy. Thank you to Lucky Duck for this awesome Cosmoctopus event. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you were able to make it. I know that there were some people that weren't. Wednesdays before the convention starts, so it's not always the most accessible time depending on your travel schedule, but we were thankful that a lot of people were able to make the event. So we are grateful that you were there. Thanks a lot. And I'm glad that you had a good time. It was fun for us. It was fun for us. As I mentioned previously on stream, I've been sleeping for the last 7 days. But it was a good time. So for those of you who did go to GenCon, what was a highlight for you? And for those of you who didn't go to GenCon, what was the one game or event or anything that you were the most interested in that had you gone, you would have been there? I'm curious what it was for all of you. I'm just asking questions because I know that the latency will allow me to drink more tea. This is one of those moments that as a teacher, when I taught middle school and stuff, one of the main things that I learned is that even though it feels uncomfortable when you're sitting there in silence, that some people just take longer to process a question and to ruminate over the answer. And it's actually effective if you give that time, because it means that people who might not normally have spoke get the chance to speak. So I'm just gonna sit in the silence here. I'm okay with it. Me, Simon and Garfunkel, and the Sound of Silence. I'm okay with it. We're gonna have a good time. One of the rare Great Inky Ones plushes take up residence in my children's room. That's awesome. Corrupting them all to our early... No, that would be Lovecraftian. The Great Inky, so technically we started calling the plushie Geo for Great Inky One. So I think Geo is a really cute name actually for the plushie. But Geo would never corrupt anyone towards demise. Maybe like lifelong adulation and praise? Certainly. Cultish love and devotion? Sure. But never a demise. Never an early demise. That would just be too morbid. That would be too morbid. But I'm glad that your children have got purple deliciousness to... I think I gave away my plushie. I don't think I actually brought one home with me. So yeah, I think I gave mine away. Don't know to who, but I gave it away because it's not here. It's not here. Going to the gods of Metal Ragnarok. I heard about that. Yes. Okay, the Nevermore. Yes. Okay, so that was our teammate Sean went to that party, and I think had a great time. It was one of those things where it started late enough at night that there's this thing at GenCon where when you finish in the exhibitor hall before the evening times, sometimes you want to shower, sometimes you want to change clothes. Sean took like a prep nap for that. He was like, I need my energy back. So he went into stasis mode in the room, just waiting for that Nevermore party. But had a great time. So spoke highly of it afterwards. They had copies of Heroes of Barcadia set up on the tables to play. That's fun. This sounds like a good event. I'm glad that you enjoyed yourself, Richard. I know that Sean was also complimentary of the experience. Let's see. There was one thing I missed out on the Direwolf digital mixer because they gave details about the new Dune Imperium content, which is like a standalone expansion, not a second. I don't know what it is. I still haven't read any details on it, but I love Dune Imperium, so I was excited to hear that there might be news about something. Oh, what else? Scott, what was a highlight for you? Because I know you're here lurking. Scott. Tell us about staffing the booth. How many people work the booth, and how did Lucky Duck find them? That is a fantastic question. That's a fantastic question. Because that was actually the next thing I wanted to talk about was the booth staffing experience. We had, let's see, it was me, Scott, and Sean, and we were kind of like the core Lucky Duck team that was at the booth. We also had David Lockwood, who is our GPN maestro, and he had a lot of meetings. So David was rarely ever at the booth. He had a lot of meetings elsewhere. It was really me, Sean, and Scott that were the core. So I'm the marketing specialist. Scott is like head of the entire English team. He's the big jefe. He's the big jefe. And then Sean is our director of sales. So there were the three of us. We would typically also have Chris, our events manager, but he was on vacation. So that was our core team. And then our booth staff team, as previously mentioned, we had Tim Chuan. So he was helping out with the Flamecraft table, and he was there in the first half of the day. And then we had Sarah Wooten, Patricia Wilson, Conrad Newman, Bill Stivers, and then Kat Heller. And so we had the five of them, and they were awesome. We love our demo staff team. We have worked with almost, so this was the first year we worked with Conrad, Sarah, and Bill, but had a fantastic experience with them. Kat and Patricia have both been at least one show before, because I've personally worked with them at individual shows previous to this. So they were kind of like, veterans, I guess you could say, that came back to help us out. And then the other three, Conrad, Bill, and Sarah, were fantastic. So we really loved our demo team. We got compliments from people that came by the booth the entire convention. All weekend we had people that were like, hey, I am getting this game because this person did such a good job demoing it. And we were very thankful. So we fully expect to work with all of them in the future. In terms of where was your questions from me? And how did Lucky Duck find them? Some of them we have worked with in the past, and so it's just a previous relationship. We also have worked with a company called Envoy or Double Exposure, and they have facilitated providing booth teams for us. So previous relationships, and then also new opportunities to meet them. But if you ever want to work a booth for Lucky Duck, just reach out to me and let me know. And me and Chris would be the contacts to discuss that. So always happy to have people who are invested and engaged and like our game catalog and would want to work at a convention like this. But yes, we had a fabulous time staffing the booth. There were, if you count those 5 and Tim, there were 6 additional workers beyond me, Scott, and Sean. And they were wonderful, and we loved them. Let's see. Geo sits right next to my kids' Flamecraft bread and meat dragons. Ah, you got some plushies there. Extra plushies, the Flamecraft bread and meat dragons. Which are funny to me. I know that that's like what they're called in the game. And I didn't realize that for a while. And I just thought that we were just calling the dragons based off of like what they liked to eat. Or something like that. I didn't really... I just thought bread dragon is a very funny term. So I always thought that was amusing. Hella fun or... Oh my gosh, Scott. Why do I even waste time reading your jokes? Oh my goodness. It's painful. Highlight was seeing the reaction of so many content creators meeting each other at our Cosmoctopus party and realizing we not only put on a fun event, but an event that people meet each other in it before. Yeah, that was good. The opportunity for all of them to mingle, to reconnect, because what's fun is, as someone who came from the content creation side, conventions are insanely busy. They are work oriented in the concept that you are networking and trying to build out your business and also your relationships and your exposure to other people. But the thing that it is for me that I've felt in the last 3 or 4 years, because I started this industry in the pandemic in Texas, and then we moved in the middle of the pandemic to Arkansas, and we never really reconnected on a local scene to get friends. So we really just maintained our friendships with people previously from Texas, digitally, virtually, online. So conventions for me have been an opportunity to kind of go hang out with the friends that I've made over the last 3 or 4 years. And it's weird to think that has been as drastic a social lengths that I've gone to be with friends. But it is kind of that. And so that was fun, like Scott said, to be able to see all of the people who know each other or don't know each other and just get to, rekindle those friendships and those relationships. And seeing that happen at our party was a lot of fun. It was like we were an opportunity to build connections, and that was fun. But I would say you caught me out since I would have enjoyed drinking some. Oh, man. Oh my goodness. I don't know if Scott and Richard are allowed to be on stream with each other anymore. I don't know if that's allowed. I don't think that's okay anymore. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Richard, you said when a crew comes together, I feel like you absolutely missed out on the opportunity to reference the A-team. I love it when a good crew comes together, but missed opportunity. Did you get to eat any num num food? Yes and no. There's 2 very different types of eating. I would also say Indianapolis is not typically the type of city that I investigate its food as much. But I did get to eat at some good places. During the show, it's just someone could bring me raw meat at this show, and if I hadn't eaten in 4 hours, I would probably eat it. Uh, During Gen Con, like when the exhibit hall is open and you're running the booth, it is absolutely just get calories and survive. I mean, me, Sean, and Scott, I think, had lunch no earlier than 3 p.m. practically every single day. So my go-to whenever we're there for lunch and I'm at the show and I don't have any time is to either get myself or have someone else get me Island Noodles. It's just a food truck there that does kind of like big, almost like soba noodles. I think it's fine. It's not revelatory. It's not amazing, but it sustains you. In terms of good food, I ate at a ramen place the last night that I was there, Monday night, and I enjoyed that. I had a type of ramen I haven't had before, so that was yummy. Also got some sake, I think. Yeah. No, so the ramen place was good. Trying to think of the other locations that I ate. Can't remember. It was okay. I like PAX Unplugged for food more, like, honestly. I think Philly is a more interesting food city for me than Indianapolis. Like in Philly, you're right next to Chinatown, so you can go get like hot pot and other stuff really easily. There's the Philly cheesesteaks, which I'm particular about where I go. My recommendation is that if you ever go to a convention, you don't eat anywhere in the convention hall or immediately adjacent to it. Like, you go find food. To me, that's the best way to get food at a convention. Indianapolis, the hotbed of fancy cuisine. I have heard that before for the first time in this chat. Hi, Grunge Life. Hope you're doing well. There's a hot pot place. So, Eddie, there's a hot pot place within very close walking distance to the convention hall at PAX. So, at PAX, you've got like Reading Market and stuff that's immediately across from it. And then if you just keep walking down the length of the convention hall, their convention center, you'll hit Chinatown. And maybe the first block of Chinatown, the end cap restaurant is like a hot pot restaurant. So I went there 2 years ago. One of my favorite places to go to in Philly is Charlie Was a Sinner, which is like a vegan restaurant bar, which is delicious. So I like Charlie Was a Sinner a lot. But there's plenty of good places to eat in PAX in Philly. That's fair. Yeah. No, I mean, Little Rock doesn't have a Chinatown, so at least you're an hour and a half better than me. Let's see. So booth staff and the experience. The experience at the booth was a lot of fun this year at Gen Con. For us, we did a raffle. We stumbled upon some extra copies of Deluxe Flamecraft, which is not available anymore. It's not a thing that you are able to access. But we gave it away. So we gave away 6 copies of that over the course of the convention. We held a raffle. If you bought anything at our booth, you got a ticket. And if you bought in higher amounts, you get more tickets. And so at the end of every day, your ticket was eligible the whole weekend. And we would raffle off numbers. And we went through quite a few numbers some days that just people weren't present. You had to come back and be present at the booth. And so we would do a raffle. And if you won, you would get a copy of Deluxe Flamecraft. And Peter, once he realized what we were doing, he contributed a bunch of like deluxe extra goodies, like pins and sticker sheets and the pink dragons. He gave a lot of extra little goodies that he has as Cardboard Alchemy, and he contributed that to the raffle every single day. And that was an absolute blast to be able to share. I love giving gifts. It's like one of my favorite things to do. So getting to like give away that and see people so excited about getting Deluxe Flamecraft was really delightful. I liked that a lot. So that was a fantastic part of the experience. And then also just all the people coming up because they, love Lucky Duck as a company or as a publisher, and they like the catalog. and they just want to see what else we've got going on. So the love that we had for Lucky Duck, for Cardboard Alchemy, for Paperfork Games, all bundled into one experience was a lot of fun. So it wasn't just our booth team was awesome, it was also just the people that came to the booth kind of made it. So a really, really fun time overall. Love eating at Reading Terminal. Yeah, so Reading Terminal to me is like hit or miss because there are some good places in Reading Terminal, and it's also insanely busy in there if you go at any time like a normal food time. So, like if you get into the right place at Reading Terminal in Philly, I think it's good. I will say, if you're in there, I would not advise you, as someone who lives in the South, the place that's like the Southern Diner, bleh, not good at all. What are the new games presented at GenCon, including the new French version? So, Phoenix, we didn't show any French versions at GenCon. GenCon is just an English market show, so we wouldn't have any different languages that we're showing. But we have Nemalia, which is a multilingual game. I don't know where I put my copy of it. I think I put it back on the table back there. But our main show debut was Cosmoctopus. So Cosmoctopus, this launched at Gen Con, and we had a bunch of product there that we sold through. And then we also had Flamecraft, which was available physically at Gen Con for the first time, even though Flamecraft has been available for a while now. So, perfect. Scott, thank you so much. He provided the news updates on Francophone for the French versions of games. And that's also something to clarify for both, any French viewers that are here and then the English viewers. There's also a difference in the catalog between Lucky Duck English and Lucky Duck France. Lucky Duck France, as a market, does a lot of French localizations and translations for games that we don't have access to. So in English, Dune Imperium is published by Direwolf Digital, which is the publisher for that game. But Lucky Duck does the French, version of Dune Imperium. So the French titles are they have a much lengthier and more robust release schedule every year because they just have different games that in the English market we don't do because they're primarily released by the publishers that do it in English. So, yes. Scott has given you the information, Phoenix, to be able to give you updates on French games. But yes, for us in Gen Con, it was just Cosmoctopus was our baby octopus at the time. So, yes, it was a very successful baby. The baby has already had way more success than I'll have my entire life. It was a successful baby. A bit jealous of all the hype around Cosmoctopus. It looks so fun. I mean, it is available for pre-order. Scott shared the link earlier in chat, so you can check that out. And it's a lot of fun. I like it a lot. Henry is a good designer. He knows what he's doing. I've loved chatting with him about design. I've chatted with him about Cosmoctopus on my own channel. I chatted with him about Parks before. He's a very interesting person who is very talented, and I was just thankful that actually the first time I ever met Henry was when he was pushing this game at PAX Unplugged 2 years ago. So that was a fun coming full circle, I guess, now that I, as the marketing person for Lucky Duck, am helping make people aware of that game that he was, pitching at the time. Yes, I guess at this point, before I, give a little bit of a look forward towards Essen and PAX U, just a little bit of an AMA session. So if you guys have any questions for me, if you have any questions about Lucky Duck, let me know. I will happily share whatever details I need to. Happily share whatever details I need to. Also, I got this fidget spinner. It's called the Ono roller. This is just the small version. There's a bigger version, but it's just one of those ones where you just roll it. It's very satisfying. It's very satisfying because I almost certainly have ADHD. Almost certainly. Hope you guys are all doing well. Thank you for being here, by the way. I know that I am friends with some of you guys because you came over from other communities, my own and friends' communities. But for everyone else that has popped into chat that I don't normally get to chat with, I'm glad you're here. Phoenix, thanks for being here. Eddie, I'm so glad that it was actually your last name is Hugh. I was like, I think that's Eddie's last name because I remember your folded space badge. So I remembered your name there. So Eddie, thanks for being here. Rolling with Rock, it was good to see you. Omar, I think I've seen you in a couple chats actually before. I think you have been on Alex's channel quite a bit. So it's good to see you as well. Whoever this crits happen is person, don't know about that person, but sure. I guess crits happen can be here in chat. And then Rhubarb Vids, nice to meet you. I don't know if I'm familiar, but happy to have you here. 100% sus. Yeah, you are. Oh, Theo's here. Hi, Theo. Theo is another Lucky Duck team member. So he is the logistics mind that, is the absolute counter to my scattered brain. Like, here's my scattered brain, and I'm at this end of the spectrum, and Theo is that way. Theo's that way on the spectrum. Where brains remember things. I think that's where he is. So. Oh. I have to bounce, my friend. I have 1 p.m., so you're on your own for comments. But keep being awesome. I appreciate that, Scott. I hope you have a good one. Thanks for being here. Thanks for answering the questions that I obviously didn't know the answer to. And we will keep this up. This will not be the only live stream. Brains aren't meant to remember. That's fair, Petrified. I could agree with that. I could agree with that. Do you guys have any questions about my role, about the Lucky Duck team? If you have a selective memory, then I have a worse selective memory. So that's fair. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, any thoughts, any things that you wanted to chat about, happy to discuss them before I decide to push over to, Essen and Paxu. Petrified's been here. He's already made some comments. Strem, you're just not paying attention. I remembered. I know. Well, I'll answer whatever questions you guys have along the way. But in terms of shows for the English market team coming up next, we have Essen and PAX Unplugged. Those are our two big shows that we're heading for. So Essen is in Essen, Germany. It's at the Messe convention. I don't know if I'd call it a center. I feel like I'd call it a complex. Essen is huge. It's massive. So like GenCon, for context, has one large exhibit hall. It's like a big L, and then it connects to the play hall. But Essen has 8. I don't know. I think 6 of the 8 were filled up this last year. I don't think they used 7 and 8, but it's massive, absolutely massive. Stremi, it's okay. You're allowed. I was just teasing you. I was teasing you because I know that you could take it out of everybody. Richard, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you coming in and joining chat, and I hope you have a good day. But yeah, Essen's ginormous. Essen is frighteningly huge. Now, I will say that because it's got so many exhibit halls, I do think that it's not congested in a oppressing way. They do have a good amount of traffic. And so it's dispersed to the point where you're not suffocating from how many people are there. So Essen is going to be a big one for us. We're going to be pushing Senjutsu and Kirai. Those are 2 of our upcoming releases. We're really excited about those. And so that will be a fun one at Essen. Looking forward to building out the booth experience to where people that come can really get a sense of the titles that we have and have a good experience at our booth. So I'm excited about Essen. I will be in Germany at the beginning of October for that. And then PAX Unplugged is at the beginning of December. We've already been talking about Philly in terms of eating and food, but Philly is where that will be there. Hoping to make PAX Unplugged this year. My health has kept me from conventions. Hope I'll make that one. Well, Vegan Lightfoot, I hope that you feel, up to speed and recovered enough to where that is an option for you, I would be delighted to see you at PAX Unplugged. That'd be fun. It's a good convention. I enjoy it a lot. I'm partial to Philly as a city, as a place to visit, and then also the size is not as insane as GenCon is, but I'm excited. Have some fun things planned for PAX Unplugged as well. Yes. Essen's a good time. It is a little bit of a different experience because number one, they don't really have a play hall there. Like, there's not a place where you can just buy your game, walk over to the next room, sit down and play it. So spatially, the environment setup is different at Essen, but it is also just the sheer scope of the event is pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. It's so much there. How many more booths are you running for Lucky Duck the rest of the year? Those two. So I must clarify and give props to my teammate Chris. He is the events manager, so technically he's the one who runs the booths. I am just a pretty face and a stupid brain. So that is what I contribute. But I'll be at Essen and PAX Unplugged. So those will be the two shows the rest of this year. In terms of like the main shows that I am typically at, Gamma is one of them, GenCon, PAX Unplugged, Essen, probably forgetting one or two others, but that's what my brain is softballing up right now. So for the rest of the year, the main two that I'm doing are Essen and PAX Unplugged. Lucky Duck goes to a lot of other smaller ones and then retailer-focused ones through Sean and other people. But in terms of like the full team getting together, Power Rangers forming up, that's going to be Essen and PAX Unplugged. Yeah, so I get it. It's harder to schedule, especially with kids that are at a young age, to do a European trip like that. So I can definitely understand why that would be a hurdle, for sure. And it's not really one that I would necessarily take the kids to. I would probably do it and leave the kids behind in terms of the logistics of both the overseas travel and also it's a lot of walking. You got to kind of be ready for that. Well, Vegan Lightfoot, thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you have a great day as well. And I want to do more of these, so I will see you in the next one. Yeah, and I think that's probably it for me, guys. If you have any final questions, just be sure to share them out, and then I can give you my feedback on that. But I think I'm ready to scale it down. This has been a successful first stream. Technicalities were minimal in terms of technical difficulties at the begin. That's words. That's words for you. Those are words, and I'm not using them well. My brain is just not back yet, guys. It's there in small amounts, but not in full. I appreciate it, Srebme. Thank you so much for joining. I love all of you guys, and I'm thankful that you guys were here. So I will go ahead and sign off for now. I appreciate all of you. Thanks for hanging out. We will do more of these, and then I will see you when I do more of those. I may see you before that, but I'm going to do more of these. So hope you guys have a good one. Theo, talk to you later. Petrified, thanks for being here. And I will see you all in the next one. Just send one last missive in chat. Boom. There we go. End stream. Later.